fiancée joined a secret club to sleep with other men, so I made sure she got her karma.
Hey everyone on Reddit, my name's Tyler, and I guess this is where we spill the beans, right? The stories that are too real for our everyday fine thanks conversations? Well, buckle up, because here's mine. I'm a 40-year-old dude living in the tech-vibrant city of Austin, Texas. By day, I'm the brains behind some of the most talked about AI projects that you might have seen making the rounds on tech blogs. I'm talking code that's meant to make life easier, or at least that's the plan. My wife, Rachel? She's been the artsy type since the day I met her, now a freelance graphic designer with a keen eye for what makes things pop on a screen. Together, we've ridden the roller coaster that is the Austin scene, me with my app launch parties, her with gallery showings where the wine flows as freely as the critiques. We've had a good run for the past decade, our home often a mosaic of my tech gadgets and her vibrant canvases. But here's the kicker, folks, the reason why I'm hammering out my heart and soul into this keyboard. Rachel's been distant lately. I don't mean the busy with a deadline kind of distant, that I get. This is cold, almost like she's a hologram in our home. Her laughter doesn't ring as loud, her smile doesn't reach her eyes, and man, it's like pulling teeth to get her into bed. Not for sleep, mind you, but for the kind of midnight tango we used to dance without a second thought. Nowadays, there's always an excuse, a not tonight tie or a I'm just not feeling it, followed by the turn of her back and the silent void expanding between us. At first, I figured it was just a phase, you know? Everyone gets the blues or a touch of the no libido flu. But then it stretched out, 1 week, 2 weeks. Heck, the calendar pages kept flipping, and my bed became as barren as Mars. I've always been the guy with a plan, a solution, a way to debug life like it's one of my programs. But this? Man, I felt like I'd hit a wall, and behind it was a Rachel I couldn't reach, locked away with secrets I couldn't fathom. So there I was, staring at our joint credit card statement like it was some kind of ancient script written in a lost language. Hey everyone. Unfortunately, basically everyone who is watching these videos isn't subscribed. It would mean the world to me to quickly get out of the full screen video for 3 seconds and press that subscribe button. It's free, and you can unsubscribe anytime. Sorry for bothering, and thank you so much if you subscribed. Charges from places we've never been to together started to dot the landscape of our bill. A fancy restaurant downtown, where, believe me, they serve steaks that cost more than a pair of my sneakers. A boutique hotel, that's the kind of place you'd take someone to say, hey, you're special, and not in the kind of way you'd expect a wife to be spending without her husband. And then there was Rachel, who'd become as secretive as a teenage girl with her first crush. Every time I walked into a room, I'd hear the click of her laptop slamming shut faster than the doors on a bank vault. Phone calls ended with the suddenness of a TV show canceled mid-season. She was whispering like she was plotting to steal the crown jewels. I mean, I'm not a jealous guy by nature. I'm the dude who's secure enough to say, yeah, she's mine, and not worry when she's out there being her fabulous self. But folks, my gut was screaming louder than fans at a rock concert, telling me something wasn't right. There's a line between trust and being a blind fool, and I felt like I was tightrope walking right over it. The trouble with gut feelings, though, is that you can't take them to court. You need cold, hard facts, evidence that would stand up and say, here's the truth, without a stutter. And I had nothing but whispers and shadows, the kind of stuff that would make anyone else say, Ty, you're just being paranoid. But come on, when your bedroom's gone ice cold and your wife is more mysterious than a spy movie, you tell me how you'd react. And let's not forget those hushed phone calls, like she's sharing secrets that could start World War III. So there I was in our local coffee shop, just a guy and his latte in the corner, the unofficial observer of the daily grind. That's when I caught a snippet of conversation that had my ears perking up like a hound on the scent. 2 guys in suits, and I'm not talking off-the-rack specials, were jabbering about some group that sounded like it stepped right out of a James Bond flick, specializing in discreet relationships for the married crowd. Now, I'm no eavesdropper by trade, but this was too much of a coincidence. What are the odds, right? So I did what any man desperate for answers would do. I sidled up, casual-like, and threw in a comment about the espresso that led to a chat about what's good around here. Before you know it, I'm pretending to be Mr. Interested and they're spilling the beans about secret signals. Here's the kicker. The secret handshake of this club? A black ring. Not just any ring, mind you, but one worn specifically on the right hand. A mark of the inner circle, a discreet bat signal for the cheating elite. I chuckled and played along, but inside, my heart was doing the kind of drum solo you'd pay good money to see. Later, back at the ranch, that's my less than homely home these days, I decided to do some late spring cleaning. And lo and behold, what should I find tucked away in Rachel's jewelry box behind some trinkets and baubles? A black ring, shiny and smug like it knew secrets it shouldn't. The same kind those suited-up 00 wannabes were talking about. So there it was, the piece of the puzzle that slapped me in the face with a cold "I told you so." It felt like a gut punch and an aha moment all rolled into one. There was my proof, not shouting, not whispering, but just sitting there silent and damning. So there I was, late one night, just mindlessly scrolling through Facebook to distract myself from the deafening silence in our bedroom. It's amazing what you find when you're not looking for anything, right? That's when I saw it, a suggested group hidden in plain sight among the ads. It was one of those private groups, but the name caught my eye. Austin's Discreet Meat. Curiosity's a beast, and mine was clawing its way out. I clicked. Denied access. It was members only. But the public description was enough. A discreet community for those seeking to add a spark back into their lives. Sparks. Right. The kind you get from rubbing two sticks together, or apparently, from sneaking around behind your partner's back. Then one evening, I'm charging Rachel's old tablet. You know, the one she stopped using after I gifted her a shiny new iPad. And there it was, the very same Austin's Discreet Meat Facebook group left open, staring at me from the screen. My Rachel, her name in the members list, as bold as you like. But that wasn't all, folks. Alongside the tablet, tucked away in her nightstand, was that black ring I'd read about in the group's posts, a symbol for members to recognize each other in the wild. It all clicked into place like a twisted puzzle. The late nights, the brushed-off advances, the mysterious expenses. I'm telling you, the feeling of betrayal is a gnawing animal that settles in your stomach and refuses to leave. You think you know someone, right? 10 years, and now she's a stranger with a double life that's just popped up like one of those annoying ads, except there's no little X to close this window. After finding the black ring and the not-so-innocent Facebook group on Rachel's tablet, I knew what I had to do. I couldn't just sit back and let this play out without getting the full picture. So your boy went full Mission Impossible mode. I started off by setting up a fake Facebook profile. Yeah, I know. Welcome to Catfish City, population, me. But desperate times call for desperate measures, right? I spent a couple hours making my alter ego believable. I borrowed a photo of a buddy from college who now lives overseas. Sorry, Dave, but you're Jameis now, an out-of-towner who's just moved to Austin. With James all set up, I sent a join request to Austin's Discreet Meat. While waiting for approval, I couldn't help feeling like I was crossing some line, but then I remembered that line had already been crossed, just not by me. A day later, and bingo, I'm in. The group was like an alternate universe, people chatting and planning meetups, all under the guise of discretion. And there it was, pinned at the top, an announcement for a masquerade-themed event. Perfect cover for anonymity and for me to slip in unnoticed. The event was in a few days. A masquerade ball at some ritzy joint that looked like it was straight out of a movie, where the rich and unfaithful play their games. Next step, getting a costume. I hit up a local costume shop and got myself decked out. I'm talking a full-on feathered Venetian mask and a cloak that would make Dracula envious. Rachel always liked those vampire movies, right? A cruel twist of irony there, but a costume wasn't enough. I needed a backstory in case anyone got chatty. James was now a successful entrepreneur who just moved from Atlanta and was looking to meet new people. Vague but believable. The plan was simple. Show up, blend in, observe, and maybe, just maybe, get the kind of proof I needed to confront Rachel without any room for excuses. So there I was, suited and booted in a getup that would make the Phantom of the Opera do a double take. I stepped into the masquerade event in San Antonio, a lavish affair oozing with opulence and the faint scent of secrets. My heart was keeping time like a drum roll, pounding away as I threaded through a tapestry of gowns and suits all hiding behind masks. I wasn't just in costume, I was in character. James, the out-of-towner, was on the prowl, but the real me, Tyler, was on a mission. I kept my head down and my eyes sharp, scanning the sea of deception for the one face I knew all too well. And then, like a lighthouse beam cutting through fog, I heard it. Rachel's laughter. It's funny, isn't it? How you can pick out the one laugh you've heard for a decade in a cacophony of mirth. There she was, draped in velvet, a mask adorned with jewels concealing her eyes but not her aura. She was with someone, a guy sporting a grin that I could spot as sleazy from a mile off. I edged closer, every step heavy with the weight of what I was about to do. They hadn't seen me yet, just another masked stranger among many. But as I neared, my heart was pounding like crazy. It was showtime. I slipped through the crowd, made it to their little bubble of betrayal, and stood there for a heartbeat. Rachel was in mid-conversation, a glass of champagne in one hand, her free hand resting on the guy's arm. I reached up, and with all the drama of the evening, I pulled off my mask. "Enjoying the party?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. The look on her face read it. It was like she'd seen a ghost. Her companion, Mr. Sleaze, looked like he was about to choke on his own Adam's apple. "Tyler!" Rachel gasped, the color draining from her face. "What? How?" There were a million things I wanted to say, a torrent of questions and accusations. But I just stood there, the raw truth hanging between us like a thundercloud. I won't lie, part of me enjoyed the shock on her face, the way her confident demeanor crumbled. But the other part? The part that had loved her, that had shared secrets and dreams and a decade of life? That part was broken, shards of trust piercing my chest. The room spun with whispers now, the masquerade's facade slipping as people started to notice the drama unfolding. I saw Rachel's eyes darting around, her world unraveling in public. After my grand unmasking, there I was, standing in the eye of the storm I'd just kicked up. The murmurs began to rise around us, the masquerade's melody turning to dissonant whispers as the crowd sensed the drama hotter than the latest gossip. Rachel, her mask now nothing more than a cheap prop, looked like a deer in headlights. Her mouth opened and closed, no sound coming out at first. And me. I felt the rage building, a tempest that had been gathering strength ever since I first smelled the stink of lies. Her companion, Mr. Tall, Dark, and has seen better days, he was trying to slink away, but I wasn't having any of that. I caught his arm and gave him a look that I hoped said, "You're part of this show too, buddy." Rachel's composure cracked, the facade fell, and there it was. All the lies spilling out of her like water from a broken dam. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she sobbed, her voice cracking. "It was just supposed to be fun, a game." A game? My marriage, our life, was a game to her? The crowd was eating it up, but I didn't care about the audience. This was between me and the woman I thought I knew. I stood there, clenching and unclenching my fists, the aggression pulsing through me. I wanted to shout, to break something, but I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me lose control. "You call breaking our vows fun?" I shot back, my voice low and menacing. I could feel the eyes on us, the weight of judgment, curiosity, and shock. But it was her eyes I was focused on, the ones that couldn't hold my gaze. The silence from her was the final nail. No excuses could bandage the wound she'd ripped open. No apologies could stitch up the trust she'd shredded. Just when I thought the drama peaked, the cheating club, Rachel's band of merry backstabbers, decided it was their turn in the spotlight. I was standing there, my rage just barely leashed, ready to give Rachel a piece of my mind that I could never take back when I felt hands on me. Strong grips, holding me back, as if I was the villain in their twisted play. "You need to calm down, man." One of the suit-wearing snakes hissed in my ear, his breath reeking of smugness and expensive cologne. Another, a guy whose face was too forgettable to be anything but a henchman, chimes in. She needed someone who was there for her, bro. You weren't. I was seeing red. Every muscle in my body tensed up, ready to unleash the storm inside me. But I'm a thinker, see, a strategist. And I knew that any violence would only play right into their narrative. The unhinged husband, losing it while the poor, misunderstood wife weeps into her lace hanky. So, I did the next best thing. With the world around me blurred by fury, I pulled out my phone, switched on the camera, and started recording. Their faces, Rachel's tear-streaked makeup, the decor they were so proud of, all captured in high definition. Say cheese, I growled, making sure to get a good sweep of the whole scene. The club members, or should I say co-conspirators, their faces shifted from smug to shocked faster than you can say privacy settings. Then I turned the camera on myself. You see this? This is the face of a man who's done with lies, done with games, and sure as hell done with this exclusive club of infidelity. I could hear Rachel's protests, her feeble attempts at defending the indefensible. Tyler, please, it's not what it looks like. But I was over it. I turned off the camera, pocketed my phone, and shook off the hands still clinging to me. You all deserve each other, I spat out. No dramatic exit music, no slow motion walk. I just left, the chatter and chaos fading behind me. As I stepped out into the cool night air, the silence was deafening compared to the uproar I'd left behind. But it gave me space to think, to plan my next move. Because now I wasn't just going to lay down and let them walk over me. I had a video evidence of the exclusive club that wasn't so exclusive anymore. Hey Reddit fam, Tyler here. If you've been following my not-so-little drama, get ready for the finale. Because when I said game change, I meant it. I posted the video. Yep, that's right. Hit upload and watched as those digital dominoes started to fall. Facebook's algorithm did its thing, and the views started climbing. It was wildfire, the kind that you see in those forest documentaries, unstoppable, blazing, absolute. But it wasn't just me in this. Austin's finest keyboard warriors, the good folks of the internet who still believe in right and wrong, they jumped in. Shares, comments, even a couple of those react videos where people watch it for the first time. Their faces, names, and their dirty little secret club, it all got dragged into the sunlight. Of course, Rachel was livid. My phone blew up with messages, missed calls, a symphony of notifications. How could you? You've ruined us. Take it down, Tyler. But the thing was, she'd already done a bang-up job of ruining us all by herself. I didn't reply. What was there to say? Thanks for the memories and the lessons in betrayal? Nah, I just blocked her number. She'd become just another contact in the list, no different from a telemarketer or a spam bot. Now, don't think I came out of this unscathed. A guy doesn't go through something like this without some cuts and bruises on the inside. But here's the kicker. I also came out stronger, wiser, with a little more grit under my fingernails. I wasn't about to sit around nursing wounds and letting the moss grow under my feet. No, sir. It was time for a fresh start, a new chapter. So, I decided to learn cold approaches. You know, the art of walking up to a stranger and starting a conversation. No masks, no secrets, just me and my newfound boldness. It's not about finding the next Rachel. It's about finding Tyler again. The guy who can chat up someone new without an agenda. The guy who's not afraid to take a step forward, even if he's still brushing off the dust from a fall. So here I am, hitting the streets, coffee shops, parks, wherever life buzzes and real people show their faces without the need for a masquerade. And it's thrilling, like the first time you ride a bike without training wheels. A little wobbly, but damn, it feels good to be in control. I'm signing off now, Reddit. Thanks everyone for listening, and if you would subscribe to the channel, that would mean the world to me. Have a great rest of your day or night.
It's unpredictable because never in my wildest imagination did I think I will one day bring my story here. But here we are. I don't even know where to start from. Everything happened so fast that I didn't even have time to think things through. But I'm happy with the way I dealt with my ex-wife. My wife cheated on me and left me for another man, but 3 years later we met again and she wanted us back together after almost running my life. How delusional. I know a lot of people are going to call me heartless when they read this story, but I don't care. Maybe when you're in my shoes someday, you will do better. I'm sharing my story even though it's difficult, reliving the painful memories so that no man out there will ever go through what I went through. Dear men, it's not good to be too soft. Women will take advantage of you the moment they discover you are soft. They will use you until you become useless. I learned my lesson the hard way. I thought being kind and good to my wife will change her to be a better person, but I was wrong. I don't even wish my worst enemy to go through half of what I went through. It was a very dark period of my life. The woman I thought was the love of my life cheated on me and ran away without even blinking an eye. She didn't even think about me or our kids. I never believed she was capable of such a thing. Honestly, I clearly saw the sign a week before our wedding, but I still went ahead with the wedding. I wished I called off the wedding when I discovered she was a prostitute that sleeps around for money so she could afford a luxurious lifestyle. Hi guys, my Pete. I'm a 35 years old high school teacher. The name of my wife is Carly. She is a 32 years old baker and we have been married for 10 years now. And our marriage is blessed with 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl. I love my wife and kids so much I could literally give my life for her, but I can't say the same about her. My wife cheated on me and left me and the kids for another man because I wasn't as rich as her lover. I never imagined Carly was capable of such a dubious character. The pain is still fresh in my heart. I never expected to get betrayed by the one I love so much, the one I worked so hard for. She literally shattered my heart, but I'm glad I got the chance to give a taste of her own medicine. A few years ago, I started noticing some weird behaviors in my wife, like keeping late nights, hiding to make or receive calls, and getting dropped off by random cars. I didn't read any meaning into it at first, but as time went on, I became suspicious. The late night out became every day. Sometimes she even sleeps out. Each time I complained about the late nights, she always gives one excuse or the other. She always hides under the pretense of being a baker to carry out her shameful acts. She always claimed to be booked and busy. I believed her until I went to her bakery shop one day at about 11 p.m. and she was nowhere to be found. Her bakery shop was closed. It was at that point I really started connecting dots. Carly and I made a vow to always trust each other, so I didn't tell her I was at her shop and met her absence. The following morning, she arrived drunk as usual, and when I asked her where she was coming from, she got mad and told me she was very tired after working at her shop all night. I was perplexed, guys. I couldn't believe the nonsense she was spewing from her mouth. I decided to let things go since I didn't have any evidence to nail her with, but I started paying attention to her movement. Carly noticed I was beginning to monitor her and flared up. She reminded me about the promise we made to each other 5 years ago to always trust each other. She told me she'd trust me 100% and asked why I was finding it hard to trust her. Truth is, I find it hard to trust Carly after she broke my trust and cheated on me a week before our wedding. I wanted to call off the wedding then when I found out she cheated on me with her ex-boyfriend through the messages on her phone, but I didn't have the guts to do so. I was so hurt when I found out about her illicit affair, but it was too late to call off the wedding because invites were already sent out. Food vendors were paid for. The wedding hall was already booked. Decorations were paid for. As a matter of fact, all preparations were already made. I didn't even know how to go about everything. I didn't know what to tell my parents or Carly's parents. Carly begged me to forgive her, that she was sorry, but I didn't buy her crocodile tears because I knew she was only sorry because she got caught. I almost canceled the wedding, but Carly threatened to hurt herself if I ever did that. She told me it was the devil's work and that she was truly sorry. I was shattered and confused at the same time, but I didn't want her to hurt herself because of me. So I went on with the wedding. I had my fears about if I was actually doing the right thing, but my love for her conquered those fears. But right now, I wish I never went ahead with the wedding. I wish I listened to my instincts and just disappeared to another state where no one knows me. On the day of the wedding, I had cold feet. I guess that was the sign I needed to have ended everything, but I didn't. After the wedding, the reality of the betrayal set in. It became hard for me to trust the lady I married. All that continued for about a year before I was finally able to forgive her and forget about the whole. It was then we made a promise to each other, never to betray each other or break each other's trust. I love Carly so much, but one thing that I dislike about her is materialistic nature. Carly doesn't know how to cut her clothes according to her size. She is always after designer things, very expensive stuff. She hated the fact that I was just a high school teacher. She always complained about this because I couldn't afford the luxurious lifestyle she wanted to live. She is fond of comparing me to her friends' husbands, but I always assured her that things will be fine one day. Carly believes in just spending money and doesn't care about savings. For my little savings, I was able to open a big bakery shop for her after the wedding, but can you guys believe that Carly spent the proceeds and profit from the bakery shop on designer clothes for herself? Carly is the perfect description of an unavailable mother. She was never there for our kids. I'm the one that does practically everything for them, from homework to cooking to laundry to pickups. Carly always claims she was busy with her bakery shop. She practically doesn't spend time with the children, not even on the days that she is at home. She prefers to be on her phone all day than spend time with the children. I can boldly say that Carly doesn't even know our kids' favorite food or favorite TV shows. She is unavailable. She only cares about herself and no one else. I don't think I have come across a mother as emotionless as Carly. She doesn't have any motherly love for her own kids. She even finds it hard to spend her money on the kids. She only uses her money for herself. I never saw this part of her until after the wedding. Honestly, she wasn't like that when we were dating, except she was pretending to be who she is not. Our kids literally yearns for their mother's attention, but they never got that. I feel bad for them when I see them throw tantrums just to get her attention, and she completely ignores them. As time passed, I thought Carly would change and one day come back to her senses. I was literally expecting a miracle, but unfortunately that never came. If for anything, her behavior worsened to the extent of going to clubs every day and sleeping with rich men for money. Carly's greed drove her into adultery. I forgot to mention to you guys that when I caught Carly when she cheated on me a week before our wedding with her ex-boyfriend, her excuse was she needed money to sort out some things for the wedding. Can you guys imagine the nonsense? I literally married a prostitute that sleeps around for money. I don't know why I overlooked that incident and still went ahead with the wedding after I caught her cheating before the wedding. Carly wanted a big wedding, but I couldn't afford that. I told her it's not a good idea for us to use all our money for an elaborate wedding because there's life after the wedding. But she didn't listen. She claimed wedding was a once-in-a-lifetime event and should be done elaborately, but I, on the other hand, I'm of the school of thoughts that after the wedding, reality sets in. Carly disregarded stands and went on with the wedding preparation. I was shocked at the stuff she was getting because she was spending way above my budget. She was in charge of everything, so I gave her the money I budgeted for the wedding. But I was surprised when she was buying expensive stuff and spending excessively. When I asked where she got the money from, she told me her uncle decided to sponsor the wedding. I was shocked because she never mentioned it until I asked. It was at that point I started suspecting something fishy, so I decided to snoop through her phone, and I found out she was cheating on me. But after lots of pleading and series of promises, I decided to just forgive and go on with the wedding. So I was very heartbroken when I discovered that the love of my life is hurting me for the second time. But I decided to pretend like nothing is wrong, but deep down I was over the marriage. I started monitoring and following Carly secretly. Then one day everything came to light. Update. Hi guys, I'm back to update you guys on how I got my wife in her cheating escapades. It happened on one Saturday morning. I can still remember that day vividly. I woke early in the morning and told Carly I was going to my parents with the kids. I knew Carly would take the bait and fall into my trap. She was excited to finally have the weekend all to herself. I took the kids and we left. I quickly dropped off the kids at my parents' place and came back to monitor my house from a far distance. Carly called to know if we arrived safely at my parents' place and told her yes. Meanwhile, I was just beside the house. Approximately 6 hours after we left the house, a car drove by our apartment, and at that moment I saw Carly coming out to welcome the stranger. I was shocked, guys. At that point, I could literally feel my heart beating. I wanted the ground to open so badly so I could just disappear, but I remembered my kids, and all of a sudden I regained my strength. After a few minutes, I stormed the house, and as expected, I saw Carly on our matrimonial bed with a total stranger. Carly was surprised to see me back in the house. She quickly jumped up from the bed, covered herself with a duvet, and started pleading. She kept begging that I should forgive her, that it's the devil's work. I didn't even know what to do at that point. I guess I didn't really prepare for how I would act in that situation. I strategically planned everything for weeks, but I never planned on how I was going to act if I ever caught my wife. I guess I was hoping for everything to be a lie. I thought it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. I never expected Carly to hurt me all over again. The next thing I did was to bounce on the man that had the audacity to come into my home and sleep with my wife on our matrimonial bed. I started hitting him, but nothing prepared me for what happened next. Carly from nowhere jumped in and helped the guy escape. At that point, I got angry and gave her 3 hot slaps. She was obviously not expecting it. Carly immediately wore her clothes and ran out and followed the guy. I was shocked, guys. That was how my wife disappeared for 3 years. No one could trace her for years. She ran off and left me with the kids. Honestly, it wasn't easy. Our kids were psychologically disturbed by her disappearance. Our little daughter asked me a heartbreaking question one time. She asked me who her mother was. I was taken aback by her question. I was too stunned to speak. I was expecting that kind of a question from a 4-year-old. I asked her why she was asking me such questions, and she told me she just wanted her mom to love her the way her friends' moms love them. I almost cried at that point, but I knew I had to be strong for my kids' sake. With time, they both adjusted to the fact that their mom was no longer in the picture, and they stopped asking me any questions relating to her whereabouts. But something unexpected happened 3 years later. Update: Hi guys, I'm back again to continue my story. Carly returned back 3 years later. I can still remember that fateful day like it was yesterday. I went out one evening strolling with the kids, but what started as a beautiful day became an absolute disaster when we arrived home and met Carly outside waiting for us. My kids and I were shocked. I saw my son cleaning his eyes multiple times just to make sure he was seeing clearly. My daughter, who is younger, couldn't recognize her from a distance, but as we got closer to where she was standing, she mumbled, "Mom." But what they did next shocked me. They both walked past without even saying it to her, even though she was calling out their names with her arms stretched out for a hug. They completely ignored her, so I opened the door for them. They went inside and asked me to chase their mother away because they don't want to see her ever again. I was surprised to see a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old acting that way. They were both 7 and 4 respectfully when she left them and ran off with her lover. I came out and met Carly struggling with her bags. She was trying to bring her stuff inside. I stopped her and asked what she was doing. At that point, she knelt down and started apologizing. She told me she was sorry that she had realized her mistakes, and she is back to correct her mistakes and right her wrong. How delusional, guys. At that point, I couldn't hold my laughter because the nonsense she was spewing from her mouth was funny to me. I wasn't in the mood for her shenanigans, so I tried to shut the door, but she grabbed my clothes and started shedding crocodile tears. At that point, I lost it and gave her 2 dirty slaps on both her cheeks. Still, she refused to let go of my clothes. I had to push her away. I warned her to stay clear of me and my kids. I told her to leave my house, else I will call the cops on her for trespassing and invading privacy. It was at that point she reminded me we were still married legally, so she has every night to be on my property. I asked her to leave and that she will hear from my lawyer soon. She froze at that point. She wasn't expecting to hear that from me. Carly must be very delusional to think she could just come back and everything would be fine just like that after disappearing for 3 years. I left her there and went inside. I immediately called my lawyer and informed him of the latest event. My lawyer and I have been looking for Carly for the past 3 years now so we could serve her divorce papers, but Carly was nowhere to be found. Carly stayed outside crying and pleading for mercy, and unfortunately for her, it started raining. She stayed out there till the following day. Apparently, she didn't have anywhere to go. I later discovered that Carly was chased out by her lover after he got tired of her. So she decided to come back thinking she can fool me again, but unfortunately for her, I'm not the man she used to know 3 years ago, or the man that forgave her and still went ahead with the wedding 10 years after she cheated. She has changed into a heartless man. The following day, my lawyer arrived with the divorce papers, but Carly refused to sign and left only to return back a few hours later with her parents. Her parents came and started pleading that I should forgive Carly, that she was just led astray by bad friends. I couldn't believe my ears. I didn't know old people can also be foolish. Definitely wisdom is not by age. The guts for those people to show in my house after 3 years is unbelievable. I remember 3 years ago when I went to inform them about what Carl did and how she was missing. They blamed me for threatening and chasing their daughter away, and ever since then, they never contacted me again or even asked about their grandkids. I got angry and chased Carly and her parents away. At that point, I knew Carly was desperate and would go to any length to have us together since her lover was done and already discarded her. So I came up with a plan to get back the bakery shop I opened in her name. I called her one day and asked that we meet at a coffee shop close to the house. She was so excited she arrived before me. I told her I'm ready to give us another chance on the condition that she transfers the bakery shop to our son. I convinced her that she would still be in charge. I told her I want to invest in the bakery shop, but I'm scared she might run it down or even disappear for years without trace again. She assured me that such a thing would never happen again and that she had learned her lesson. She was so dumb and desperate that she never suspected anything. She said she has come to realize there's no man as good and kind as me, and she wants her family back, so she is ready to transfer the ownership of the shop to me. That is, guys, I brought out the document prepared by a lawyer and she foolishly signed it. At that point, I felt relieved. I finally got back what I invested my hard-earned money on. Since the transfer of ownership was to our son, She never suspected anything. To her surprise, my lawyer walked into the coffee shop with the divorce papers. She was confused. She didn't understand what was going on. My lawyer asked her to sign the divorce papers. At that point, she looked at me with so much disgust in her eyes. I asked her what she was expecting, though. I told her she must be dumb if she ever thought things could work out between us after cheating on me and running off with her lover. I told her I knew everything about how she was dumped. If her lover didn't dump her, she wouldn't have returned back. I told her I regretted the day when I married her. I told her she was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I told her how she was an irresponsible mother and how kids hate her with passion. After giving her a piece of my mind and seeing that there was no room for reconciliation, she finally signed the divorce papers. Soon the divorce proceedings started. It hectic, but I was excited to be finally free from the shackles of a prostitute. After proving in court how irresponsible Carly was and she left the kids and disappeared for 3 years, I was given full custody of our kids. I was so happy to be finally legally free from Carly, and I was even more excited about having full custody of my kids. Carly, on the other hand, didn't even try to fight for the kids' custody. She was just after the bakery shop, but unfortunately for her, she couldn't get. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I got married again to my best friend Anita. We started dating 2 years after Carly disappeared. She was there for me and the kids. My kids love her so much, and they were both excited when I told them we were getting married. She treats my kids like her own. If not for her, I don't know how I would have coped when Carly ran off with her lover 3 years ago. She was my backbone and confidant. I almost gave up on love, but I'm glad I never did. Glad I got the chance to love and be loved again. Anita is a medical doctor, and even with her busy schedules, she always makes sure she creates time for me and the kids. I'm a happy man because my kids finally had the mother they never had. I guess it's true what they say, anyone can give birth, but it takes a special woman to be a mother. Being a good mother has nothing to do with carrying the kids for 9 months. Anita made me understand this. It was when I got married to Anita that I knew that marriage can be enjoyed and not endured. Anita and I invested some money into the bakery shop, and it started running again. Unlike Carly, Anita is very diligent with money. The bakery shop is a success today thanks to her relentless efforts. I honestly don't know how she does it. Combining work, family, and the bakery shop together, she does them effortlessly. I'm glad I gave love a second chance and not allow pain from my past turn me into a monster. As for Carly, I heard she is a broke full-time prostitute staying with her parents. I'm so glad my kids don't want to have anything to do with her because honestly, she is a bad influence. Never marry a cheat and don't be too soft as a man, it doesn't end well.